This is the full VOD of the matchup between HLE and FlyQuest. Let's dive into the picks and bans.
And I'm hoping that we get to see some innovation from FlyQuest. The Ivan respect ban already, the Renekton respect ban as well. Hanwha Life not showcasing any ego against FlyQuest
Surely
today.
we ban Yone against Zeka. Come on.
Surely.
Oh, no.
They don't.
All right,
What is
well,
this dark
it is
technology?
a best of 3, so we have to talk about what they can do for game 2.
I will not speak. If I speak, I am in big trouble. Big trouble.
I'm just here so I won't get fired.
Yone locked in for Hanwha Life Esports.
I have some thoughts.
You would have to expect this to be exactly
Look, that's
what
the
they
man
would
of
do.
confidence. That's Whippo's face, stern look,
So
confidence.
there have been rumblings, from the FlyQuest camp that they're cooking some crazy stuff up, that they're looking to surprise some teams. So hey, if you have something that you believe to be a true counter, maybe they believe Cassio is that counter. Obviously, the miasma can be pretty strong. If you go in, you can't snap back if you are on that W. Quad already did bring it out, once so far this tournament. It is a pick that he's very comfortable on. So it could be pretty exciting. We'll see if I can actually make that happen. But I am definitely really, unsure about if you're going to be able to shut down Zeka on the Yone. In fact, there's only been now, I think, 4 losses actually on Yone, in the main stage. And it had only been the LEC mid laners that had actually lost on it until Showmaker just lost once last game. But you're giving a guy who won a world championship playing this stuff. Like, this is his style. This is how he dominated. This is how he was showcasing himself as the best in the world at that time. And it is going to be really tough.
The funny thing to me is we just saw DK's version of Yone Sejuani
and they
Jax.
lost.
And they did lose. That is one takeaway. Another one.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Isaac, your responses to what Thaddeus and I are saying in this draft need to be studied.
Yeah.
I thought we were on the same wavelength here, boys. We don't have the synergy from the first game.
Well, with the Amumu locked in
point,
and the
Thaddeus.
Cassio Beaver.
They are doomed, you're right.
The FlyQuest draft is, again, one that we saw from Top Esports, which is heavy revolving around crowd control. The miasma you already talked about from the Cassio, the ultimate that provides from Amumu, and it's just also another comfort pick, I feel. I feel like FlyQuest right now are drafting towards comfort. I don't think that they're showing anything new, because as you already highlighted, we saw this a lot from their domestic performances as well.
Yeah, Cassio definitely, he didn't play a lot domestically, because obviously it was AD carry meta, but he did bring it out already at Worlds. And Quad, when he was first signed by FlyQuest, people were looking at it like, okay, you're kind of just like a similar Jensen player. You are a guy who plays a lot of the control mages. That's really what he was doing in Academy. So, he had kind of branched out a bit from that. But obviously, Mumu was a big pick for Inspired in the playoffs. And when you think about the shift for FlyQuest, from regular season 2 playoffs, it was very heavily about Inspired playing for himself, playing to carry on these hyper carry AP style champions. In playoffs, he became more of a guy who was playing for his carries. For Quad and for Masu, he developed a lot of faith in these players that if he sets them up for success, they were going to get the job done. And that's where he was playing a lot of Ivor, and that's where he was playing a lot of Amumu. And in this case, I think it's going to be all about that counter engage.
And if we're talking about engage, lots of engage supports banned here in the second half of the draft. The Rakan, the Alistar, the Leona, also the Poppy taken out there by HLE. Let's see what FlyQuest wants to go with here. That Kalista loves to pair with somebody who can be aggressive in the lane.
I'm a little, I was thinking to myself, Garen could be really good here.
Urgot is a Whippo special.
It definitely is.
When I heard they were cooking, I was kind of thinking, okay, well, you're probably just going to pull into your bag of tricks that you've already kind of shown. When I think of Whippo and I think of some of his unorthodox picks, I think of Urgot, I think of Garen, I think of, things like Olaf. He does have those sort of styles. And so this could be pretty strong for them. We'll see if he's going to be able to lane up against Doran on this Jax.
That is a quick
That was
lock-in.
fast.
This is full dive.
Yeah. And I think
Renata's up, man.
Kai'Sa's just really good because of
I want Renata so badly.
Kalista Renata also a very strong bot lane 2 versus 2.
And just look at it, it's 4 melee champs and it's full dive. Like, Renata is the best pick here, and so I am glad that they're going to lock this in. I do think the draft is strong from FlyQuest, but at the same time, if things start to go bad at all, they are going to go really bad. You're going to get run over by a comp like this that can, win out in both the side lanes. I do think you get outscaled in the side lanes pretty heavily. The 5v5 on FlyQuest so is strong, and the counter engage is going to be difficult for HLE to deal with. If you're trying to go for this front to back fight, you dive in there, all of a sudden you're a Mumu ulted, then there's a hostile takeover coming out, you're a miasma. You can't really, have a lot of mobility in those situations. situations. But at the same time, HLE have the ability to just individually outplay in 1v1s, in 2v2s, to win those skirmishes, to play the map better. And I think that's where FlyQuest could really struggle.
Yeah, my instincts for the FlyQuest comp is a little low range, right? But the advantage is that HLE will want to come to you. So there are ways to take advantage of that. Yeah, yes, right. When you're playing, when you're playing 3 melee range champions and you're playing a Kai'Sa that inherently has a relatively short range, but also uses her ultimate to close the gap between you and a dive opportunity. I think things like Amumu, Urgot, and Cassio welcome you engaging onto them, especially when you boot with a Renata. So I think the idea from FlyQuest is promising, where you're trying to dive, we have a lot of counter dive measures, and then we'll leverage that to try and outplay you in the team fights. It ultimately then just becomes a question of laning, because Hanwha Life aren't just famous for their team fighting, they're also famous for their individual players.
Yeah, exactly. They are really, really good at basically every aspect of the game, which is why they won the LCK, and which is why it's going to be really tough for FlyQuest. And I think, honestly, as much as I was kind of memeing on letting the Yone through, I respect throwing out something like this that has such strong counter engage, that really has the ability to potentially lock down and burst down someone here if HLE does, drop the ball. And I think for game 1, makes sense.
All right, as the champions head out onto the Rift, a reminder, log into your Riot account on lolesports.com and watch Worlds live to earn exclusive Worlds emotes, icons, capsules, all sorts of good stuff. Log in there and get yourself some of that, as it looks like nobody's doing anything super out of the ordinary, super unexpected here early on. We always have to keep our eyes open for lane swaps or...
right now, you can see that Kai'Sa.
All right.
Like he said, not out of the ordinary.
Yeah, I know. At least Emily's having fun.
I loved your enthusiasm and optimism. She's like, yeah, we're going to get a standard. It's 2v2,
yeah,
1v1.
Give me some skill expression and a head-to-head.
Yeah, no, Hanwha Life's going to be like, oh, God.
Best I can do is 2 people leaning against a tower.
Yeah.
Well, and then it'll be 4 guys leaning against 2 guys in a tower.
It's so funny, though, because I remember, shout out to Kadro, but someone asked him, like, well, what could they do to nerf lane swaps? And he's like, it doesn't matter how much you nerf it, they'll just find a way around it, because it's what pro players do. Soon they'll start sending their bot lane mid, for example, or they'll do other stuff. And it's pros, man. They always try to find the most optimal way to break your game.
I mean, the reality is, like, there's ways they could do it, but you have to do it, it kind of have to be very, very extreme, right?
Yeah.
And then it's things that then can bleed over into solo queue, which can make it really a difficult problem to solve. Because I mean, you could just make it that the bot lane tower takes triple damage, and if you swap, then well, guess what? They get first tower in 2 minutes, right?
Yep.
But well, it turns out that would be pretty tough for people who are playing Vayne into Caitlyn Syra in solo queue. So it's definitely, there are ways you can fix it, but maybe not without causing other problems. Smart stuff though here for HLE, as obviously they have a losing lane bot, they have a losing lane top. Turns out, you lane swap, don't have to deal with either of those. Yep,
and for HLE, you guys were already talking about it during the draft. We're looking at them and the power of the split pushing, the power of the side laning against FlyQuest's teamfight draft.
It is just Bwipo top. Now, the reason why this strategy is typically avoided is because you can slow stack the wave and you can dive in level 1, and that's why we saw that adaptation of, supports or AD carriers laning with the top laners so they can get that XP. But FlyQuest just said, you know what?
Whoa, flash disdain from Bwipo, immediately going after Viper. Flash for flash, summoner spells up there, as now HLE making their play here in the mid lane onto Quad. He'll get stunned up, gunned down, first blood, HLE.
Nicely done, didn't even need Zeka to get involved in the play. Delight and Peanut group up and knock down Quad. He tried to get some vision down towards that bot side, and they were there waiting for him.
Peanut, he's not going to slow down with his aggression.
And a duel between our junglers here. Reminder, this is your Mercedes-Benz featured matchup for this game. Inspired versus Peanut. That smite fight already starting them off here in the head-to-head.
I think Peanut just barely didn't have his smite in time. It was coming up as that red buff did go down, but Inspired going to be pretty happy, clears away his topside camps, and it's just going to be power farming on this Amumu. And now we do have these 2v1 situations, and the question is, which top laner will get pressured more heavily? Definitely the expectation is that it would be Doran, but already has a few levels here and definitely not in any sort of threat to get dove.
And with Hanwha Life already on the board, with Delight and Peanut working together to get that kill in the mid lane, I feel like if you're FlyQuest, you have to be thinking about the fact that Delight has already made what has been the play of Worlds so far on this exact champion. Yeah. You've got to be respecting this guy and what he can do on the realm.
I mean, he is just insane playing these engaged champs, finds these angles, these tiny opportunities, has no hesitation, instantly goes for it. You really do need that killer instinct and that ability to evaluate plays at such a rapid level to be a top-level engaged player like Delight.
Yeah, and all I can think of in my head is when he made that play, he's on a horse. Like that.
Like, I like horses.
Yeah. Anyway.
Did you notice it's metal? Wow.
Peanut sending his sights on mid once
Golly.
more.
Right. Peanut for now, though, just going to steal away that chicken camp. Quad still doing whatever we can to try to farm up against this Yone. There are a couple more minions for him to farm, but Zeka enjoying that early little bit of a CS lead thanks to the kill that they got on Quad.
Exactly, and not only did he died in Lost Flash, and Zeka didn't even have to participate, so he still has his summoners available. So now again, when you're playing range versus melee, the way you create advantages is you push, and you poke, and you harass, but you can't do that without Flash because you're exposing yourself to ganks, to these setups so easily. So, getting that early kill, not only is it just good to have that gold over for HLE, but it really shuts down Quad, even in the 1v1.
Now, I will say that when I kind of look at the minimap, I'm keeping track of... That is a loud dragon.
Very loud dragon.
Remember that Viper doesn't have Flash, so I was actually expecting Inspired to maybe consider hovering around bot lane, maybe looking for a play, a potential gank. They've also got good vision coverage around the bot side river, but his pathing is taken up towards the top side. Now, that does allow him to cover for Bwipo to push out that stacked wave and go back to base safely, but keep your eyes on Peanut. I feel like that the great thing about Peanut and why he's so regarded for his jungle pathing is that he's always in a good position to play around his laners. And again, he's in a position to make sure that that bot lane has that good coverage. Also, his camps are now re-clearable on the bot side of the map, so he can start pathing his way to top. And as he's pathing now, this gives the opportunity for Viper to go back to base as well, even though his flash is down. Inspired now making his way back out. If they can keep Viper here, this could be an opportunity for Inspired for a nice game.
Yeah, and we'll see if he can find that opportunity. Inspired, though, is going to be working towards an AP build here. Should be that Leandri's first item for the Amumu, and is going to be starting up the Dragon, as they do have Prio on that bot side. You touched on the missing Flash. Obviously, Renata Callista really strong in that 2v2, but Doran just wants this fight.
Yeah, Doran hitting level 6 first. Bwipo not quite there. You can see the EXP bar in the top right. He's about 90% of the way, but it does not round up. Peanut making his way up to that top lane. If they can get this dive before the Urgot hits level 6, surely there's no threat at all on these guys. Bwipo finding his ulti now. Doran be taken a little bit low, but not low enough. Bwipo's down. Nicely executed by the HLE top and jungle duo, and the massive minion wave now just being eaten up by the turret, as at least Inspired claims the Drake. A little bit of a silver lining here for FlyQuest.
Yeah, that's really tough. Bwipo will be able to TP back and get a good chunk of that wave, but losing a lot of minions there. And it was just that early chunk from Doran. Had the XP advantage, immediately jumps in, pops the ult, chunks down Bwipo, and you can see Bwipo tried to bend that ulti around to not hit Peanut and hit Doran, but couldn't actually find the right angle there to do so. Inspired up here will at least be able to take a grub or two away.
Ooh, Zeka taking a lot of damage there in mid lane, but not enough. And the problem, too, with the Urgot is, remember, even if you hit the ulti on him, it does have a couple of seconds that the guy is stuck in the grinder before the execute happens. So if you're already super low on HP, sometimes you'll die in the animation and you still can't get the kill. Void Grubs will be mostly secured by Inspired, is the 1 for HLE, 2 for FlyQuest.
And at the end of the day, it's still quite a close game. It is just that 500-600 gold separating the two teams right now. Even with those early 2 kills there for HLE. So FlyQuest are going to have their opportunities, and we'll just see. Oh, wow. Nice buffer there from Zeka. Anticipates the ult, snaps back. That's some of the abilities that Yone have that really make him so powerful at this level.
Yeah, you mentioned it in the previous series. If you can time that just right, you are immune to CC in that recall animation. Very powerful, very effective. As Doran now has the opportunity to knock some damage into this first plate here. Almost grabs it. Minions are going to do that last little bit as Bwipo approaches from the side. But there's nobody else around for FlyQuest, so I don't really feel like Doran's under any pressure whatsoever here, and Bwipo will just go back to shoving the wave out.
I guess I'm kind of looking at the map, and I feel like there were a couple opportunities where I think Inspired, like that mid lane in particular, I think he could have set up a dive onto Zeka there. I mean, when Inspired was back in EU, there used to be the thing where, like, when he was on Rogue, the team played for him, right? It was very much a roster where they drafted pushing lanes, they leveraged their prio to enable him to either steal enemy camps or play for prio. And you've already talked about how, like, he's definitely evolved much more as a player. While this is usually his go-to style, he's still willing to play for the entire map, set up for those ganks and look for opportunities. The only concern I have right now for FlyQuest is that by prioritizing these neutral objectives, I think that their individual laners are, like, getting pretty healthy leads. And while Viper is falling behind, ultimately, like, I look at this mid lane, there's already about a 2-wave lead. On the top side of the map, because Doran has been able to get a play in top lane and in bot lane, he's got a healthy gold lead. Peanut is very healthy, and so FlyQuest are doing well on the objectives, but the gold advantages are slowly starting to build for HLE.
Yeah, they absolutely are. And that's kind of the expectation, though, right? You know, these players are so talented individually. You're expecting that they're going to get more done in those 1v1s, in those 2v2s. See, Quad in trouble.
Nice engage from Zeka, going in for the Fate Sealed. One little bit more damage on the Quad, and the minions finish him off. The minions betray FlyQuest at last, and Zeka takes the solo kill in the mid lane.
I mean, yeah, just a flat-out solo kill from Zeka. Azale, you highlighted the risk of giving a player like Zeka this champion, and you're seeing firsthand the consequences.
I mean, he won a world championship playing these melee champions. You know, even when it was full-on AD carry meta in the LCK, still one of his most played champions was Yone, right? And it's even better now in this meta, so it is very difficult. Nice sidestep from Masu.
Yeah, Masu staying alive for now, but the hostile takeover just misses everything. Masu and Busio trying to fight back, but Masu's bailout isn't going to be enough. Peanut ends up taking the kill, and now Busio has no way out. HLE, the easy 2v2 here, gets Doran paid back in the mid lane. Zeka's trying to get out. FlyQuest are finally on the board, but HLE are still doing better.
Yeah, that ultimate from Busio was just awful, though. If he actually connects a good ulti, even if he had to flash reposition, if you hit both there, that is a very playable 2v2. Potentially you force flashes out or maybe even get a kill. Instead, it cost them so much on this top side, but we're going to watch and see how FlyQuest did get a kill here on Zeka.
Whippo down at levels. Oh, but a nice punish. Flashes in, connects the E, the follow-up from Inspired. The chain CC doing its work as Zeka really doesn't get an opportunity to move. And that could be a preview of what's to come for Zeka later on into the game. But right now, Zeka finds himself in a very... Always looking at the bright side, Azale. That's me. Now FlyQuest are going to move their bot lane in towards mid. With the Dragon spawning in about 30 seconds, they can leverage this to try and get prio. But notice once again, Zeka now off in a side lane, very close to that play to the Ruin King spike.
And it's also just so problematic because Doran, obviously, when you pick Urgot into him, you're trying to win that 1v1, you're trying to get ahead of the game. Doran has been so accelerated because he's been playing with Peanut very, very well. He's picked up 2 kills, he's gotten assists, he's gotten multiple plates. And yes, Whippo is at a pretty strong point right now, but Doran is going to be such a problem in those side lanes.
Yep.
If you ever go for an aggressive disdain on the Urgot and you miss, you're just going to get run down and killed here by the Jax. So, you know, already it feels like only 11 minutes in, Whippo's going to be kind of on that back foot, and Quad has been put very far behind by the early gank, put him in a tough spot, and then Zeka finds the solo kill. So your carries aren't really in that spot that you wanted them to be in.
I mean, I think that Peanut has been the star for HLE so far in this early game. Just he's basically been sacrificing these early objectives to get his laners ahead, and now with the strength that they have, it allows them to better contest these next objectives. So now they're the ones with position over Dragon. They've already secured the grubs. They've gotten themselves 4 to get that small grub buff, and now they should be able to rotate over to this Dragon, and it's going to be a difficult contest for FlyQuest. The Leandries is finished for Inspired. That top tower is getting lower.
Right, Hanwha with control over the bot side river. Whippo trying to put that last little bit of damage into the top tower, but Doran fighting tooth and nail to keep the thing standing. Hanwha Life still up about 1,500 gold compared to FlyQuest, up 4 kills. I think it is pretty important what you mentioned, Betty, is critically crossing that threshold for spawning the little baby grubby things. I can't remember the name off the top of my head for some reason right now. Void Mites, that's what it is. That's what it is, yeah. Baby grubby Void Mites.
Little baby grubby things worse too, though.
Yeah, for Hanwha Life. So they're going to have that extra pushing power with this comp that already has 2 incredible side laners who are both doing great at this point in the game.
Well, it was Hanwha Life that have, I mean, Azale, you can bring up the minimap for me and you can just showcase how much vision Hanwha Life have. That kind of suffocation around this bot side. There is that one deep ward near the red buff that FlyQuest could potentially use as a TP option for Whippo. But yeah, it's so difficult to approach this, and Inspired's not even going to try. He's going to go back to clearing. And Amumu with a very fast clear speed, getting to a good point. But again, it's still Peanut that has the gold advantage for now. They set their sights on a potential play on top side. But again, like, God, this vision from Hanwha from start to finish has just been so good at keeping track of exactly where Inspired is and what options Peanut has.
And I think it's just Peanut kind of picking up where he left off in the LCK. This guy has been so good for HLE this year. And we do have Busio reading that there could be a potential dive here, so is going to cover Quad, and I think that's a tough dive into the Renata with the bailout. You know, won't be likely to look for that. So FlyQuest are going to be able to get something on the top side of the map. They do get first tower there for Whippo, and that is going to pull them back within 1,000 gold here, but we'll see if FlyQuest can really match up when it matters at these objectives, because it is just kind of this slow-moving game that it feels like HLE are winning out in, and they're not necessarily going to give you those 5v5s when you want them. They can just play through side lanes. You haven't stacked early dragons to do anything to force HLE to fight. They can just play the game on their own terms.
I mean, we were talking back in the first series about the difference between having enough gold to just brute force the game versus the burden of execution. And I feel like for FlyQuest, if you tell me, oh yeah, FlyQuest is going to be only 1,000 gold behind the LCK #1 seed with even Drake's 14 minutes into the game, you're all right with that. But then you still have to
Sorry, it was
pass
just
that
a delivery.
test.
It was just like, it was
I'm serious. They're a
No,
good
I
team.
know, I know.
Thaddeus, we are
No, I
North
know, I
American
know.
commentators. We have been conditioned
Thaddeus, your
to
team lost to the
really
minor
be
region.
fighting
I'm
as
not
the
going
underdog.
to LCK here.
No, sorry, I was just...
We're just trying to fight.
No, it's fine, it's fine. It's, I didn't mean to offend. I'm sorry, I'm
No,
sorry.
you're good. You're good. You're good.
He's not good. Don't lie to him.
The Herald is not good either. It is claimed now by HLE. Peanut going to pick that one up. Another objective going the way of HLE as Bussio's going to step forward here a little bit, just try to get a little bit more vision, have some control over the enemy jungle. He'll sit down that ward, and Delight will immediately clear it back out. Quad on the Cassiopeia, 2 stacks on the Rod of Ages. Zeka happy to just keep playing this side lane game, now pushing onto the tier 1 in the top side. Only turret in the game claimed so far was the tier 1 top. FlyQuest killing that from the HLE, but now it's going to be traded back to the tier 1 mid, as that one will die to the Rift Herald, thanks to Peanut, and he will now steer the Herald.
Wait, we
Okay,
saw this from
let's see if he can make it all the
Showmaker
way.
earlier. Can he drift around?
Can he make it all the way? It's a tight turn here.
It's literally the exact same
It's
corner.
the exact same corner,
Yeah,
yeah.
that corner is wider than it looks. There's like a little bit of invisible wall next
But
to
not
it.
as wide as this man.
Yep, Whippo is wide enough to stop the Herald from
Yeah.
walking slowly towards the
A
turret.
dominating 1v1 there by Bwippo.
All right,
I
HLE.
think that was Worlds 2021 where that started.
I have no
Off the
idea.
top
I
of my
remembered
head, I
more.
cannot remember the origins of wide Whippo. I just know that it is now.
Maybe even been earlier than that.
He was
Maybe
back
it
on
was
Fnatic. I
cornerstone.
feel like it was even
He
earlier.
was no, it may have been Worlds 2020 actually. He was on
Yeah.
Fnatic when it started. And it was because every time when he went over to shake the player's hands after a game, it's, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's walking over.
Yeah.
There's an absolute aura.
Aura is exactly the correct word. Anyway, Dragon spawning in about 2 minutes time. And the kill score can look alarming, but as my commentators
But don't be
alongside me have
alarmed.
highlighted,
We've
yes,
got him right where we want
the
him.
gold is still
Exactly, Vinny.
in a comfortable
Yes.
position. And my biggest concern is the man in the mid lane for Hanwha Life, the guy right here, as earlier he did a QWQE, and that took half of Quad's HP. So
That is concerning.
Yes.
I agree with you.
So he's becoming stronger, but inspired.
Oh.
Okay. Ooh, flashing forward for the Curse of the Sad Mummy. They immediately throw down the miasma to stop Zeka from being able to get away. Nicely done from Inspired and Quad working together to guarantee this one. But now Bwippo's going to be the target for HLE on the other side of the map. Viper flies in with that killer instinct, but it's Bwippo who still falls. Meanwhile, back in the bottom lane, the tier 1 turret is taken down as Inspired goes back in for another bandage toss. Busio not there in time to follow it up with an additional CC. So Body's going to be traded back and forth across the rift.
Yeah, good kill from FlyQuest on the bot side, but it does cost them quite a lot. It's both flashes off of Inspired and Quad, and then Bwippo just lost his flash on top side and died. He did thankfully at least force out Viper's flash, but it is going to mean coming up for this next fight, it's going to feel pretty hard to play. I don't think that FlyQuest can actually contest at the next Dragon here with no flashes on your entire top side of the map and flashes on all of the engaged champions over on HLE.
Yeah, I mean, crucially, Doran, he was the one that was a little bit behind Bwippo because of that first half blood that he got, and now you can see that he's regained a gold lead thanks to the kill that he was able to secure. And you're completely right, Azael, that it feels like that even though FlyQuest found a good pick, Hanwha Life is just getting more, and speaking of more...
Uh-oh, Inspired about to get crashed down to Pawn. He'll try to get away, but the CC is too much, combined with Doran's damage. The Hanwha Life top laner now on a rampage, but Quad's trying to follow it up here. Goes in for the Petrifying Gaze. Hanwha's getting locked up. Peanut and Doran both trying to flash back away as they put the damage into Quad, who's barely staying alive with an extra 100 HP. The bailout can't save him, and Hanwha Life is out fighting FlyQuest. Bwippo's still trying to escape, and Doran re-engages with a counter-strike, leap strike combo. HLE don't lose a single man. That's what I was talking about. That's what I was worried about. Even if the game is close, Hanwha Life have incredible skill at fighting.
I genuinely thought that Hanwha had overextended in that play. You saw a nice ulti come through from Quad. The chain TC onto the top side of Hanwha Life was going to come through, and there was a great opportunity for FlyQuest to turn this around, but they just don't quite have the damage.
Yeah, exactly. They don't have the damage. They don't really have the summoners, and Inspired is dead for free at the very beginning. Quad TP's in from behind, wants to join at that tier 1. All of FlyQuest is going to collapse, but you still have to remember, it's a 4v5, right? So as these extra members do come in, they don't quite have the damage to actually burst them down. The Locket comes out, Doran kites back, then Peanut is able to jump out, and they just can't actually finish any of these kills.
Yeah, I didn't see it live, but that crucial Zeka ultimate onto the backline hit both Masu and Bwipo. So the damage dealers and the target focus coming out from Hanwha Life was great because they shut down Quad first, and then the other 2 damage dealers tried to come in from the flank, and then they get CC'd up. So just a well-executed fight from Hanwha.
Bwipo lying in wait as Zeka tries to shove up another wave. I don't think Bwipo wants this 1v1.
He does not. He's decided against it. We'll go back to base, look to try and catch that wave on bots. Right now, it's FlyQuest setting up control around the top side of the map. Baron is now alive. I can't imagine Hanwha Life are going to start this one off immediately, but they don't really need to. They're in a good position.
Yep.
Yeah.
All of the outer towers have fallen, and now they can start pushing their advantage even deeper into FlyQuest territory.
And Doran's getting so strong now, 4 kills, obviously their entire top side, just any 2v2 involving Sejuani and a Soul Laner, I just don't really think FlyQuest can win, right? Unless they get a huge jump and are able to kill someone off right off the bat.
And that someone would have to be the solo laner, because there's no way you're going to instantly kill the Sejuani as Bwipo tries to get away from this. Peanut missing the Glacial Prison means that Bwipo survives.
Zeka missed his ult as well, so both those whiffs do allow Bwipo to get out, but no opportunity for them to fight back, even with Inspired in the area. Obviously, still full health bars over on the HLE side, and they can just continue to split the map, play through sides, look for these skirmishes. They're going to continue taking over Vision, which they've done such a good job of. You can see all of these wards that they're placing, this entire line really across the middle of the map there has just gotten deeper and deeper and deeper into FlyQuest territory, and is making it so tough for them to actually be able to look for any sort of proactive plays, because you're always spotted before you go for it.
All right, Hanwha Life getting this wave shoved up. FlyQuest was positioning some troops nearby to maybe punish if they kept on pushing, but Hanwha's not interested in that in the slightest. Peanut just going to sit down a little bit of vision here, sweep out whatever FlyQuest might be using, and this is kind of the name of the game for HLE. They haven't felt any real pressure from FlyQuest. I feel like they can play it slow, choke the LCS #1 seed out of the map as they slowly creep forward and control more and more vision, and eventually they're just planning on FlyQuest making a mistake.
Exactly, and I mean, bad goes to worse when you realize it's also a Hextech Soul, and they're going to TP in. They're just going to start up this Baron potentially here.
I mean, it did look like that, didn't it? Yeah, it
just
looked
TPing
like
in, I guess, going out towards top, just get the waves going.
Yeah, I thought was maybe he didn't want to reveal they used TP, but he did it on a control ward, so
Yeah.
they know that that's happening. So either way, he catches the top wave, starts to put pressure on, and you've got this 1-3-1 setup with Hanwha Life leaning towards Doran, trying to provide that cover. And again, look at these small pockets of wards that they're able to find. They just, it's so good from Hanwha Life. They consistently do this throughout the game to just keep track and provide safety. The first time that they didn't do that was when Zeka gets caught in the bot lane.
And now they actually are starting up this Baron here. FlyQuest has really been stymied by this ward. It caught them on that last play they were looking for, and they sweep out the brush.
I think it's
but
gone.
They just don't realize it's there.
Yeah, FlyQuest, they're way too late. Inspired, he even gets caught with a Glacial Prison and the Magnet Storm, so there's no chance for a steal. Now Zeka tries to jump in. Delight surely going to be caught out here. Inspired with the flash over the wall, tries to get the damage he needs. Bwipo flashing forward with the Fear Beyond Death, chasing down Viper. Bwipo's going to grab that kill. It's 3 dead on HLE. It was a Baron for the Korean team, but North America takes 4 in trade.
Yeah, 4 for 0 off the back of that. FlyQuest heavily commit to this, and they could get even more here. Zeka is going to be spotted by Inspired, has to run, but they're going to be able to get this tier 1. They're pushing up top lane as well to try to get some damage down on that tier 2. FlyQuest making a very decisive play off of the engage there from Inspired. They flash into the pit, they find a great ulti, everyone flies in, Quad's flashing in, and we see the TP as well from Bwipo, so they lose the Baron, but they commit to the fight and they play it very well.
Yeah, I was surprised to see them commit to this. When Bwipo flashed in, I thought it was a bad choice, but Inspired was there to follow. Quad then follows up. A beautiful ultimate comes out from the Renata to really help cement that kill onto the Jax. And crucially, so many shutdowns went over to FlyQuest. Gold being funneled to Quad, Bwipo getting a lot of gold as well. That's going to complete a lot of their second major items. And crucially deny this Baron. Minus 1.9k, the Baron power play.
And the gold is really now within striking distance. But again, the question becomes, can you win the next fight? Because again, you look towards these summoners.
Uh-oh, that's not a fight, man. That is an execution for HLE. They catch Inspired right there near the Gromp. They pick him off, and it's 10 seconds to go until the Drake spawns. That'll move HLE to Soul Point.
Exactly, Soul Point for that Hextech Soul, very problematic. I don't think FlyQuest would have been able to fight for that one either anyway. You know, without Flash on Buppo, without Flash on Quad, they won that fight, but it cost them a lot. There are no summoners on HLE's Viper, though, so maybe can look for an opportunity there, but for now, FlyQuest have just got to try to hold the base.
But look at how the pick has allowed them to siege bot, and then Zeka, who still has the Baron pressuring in mid. He doesn't overstay his welcome, though, because they're just trying to force FlyQuest back for that dragon that you were just talking about.
Exactly, and how big of a gold swing it was. You know, it was a negative 1800 Baron power play, and that just went up to a negative 400, and now it's negative 600. Yeah, sure, that's not great, but that was just a swing of more than 1,000 gold off the kill on Inspired, the taking camps, the pushed waves. HLE, again, you know, getting that edge and going right back into the driver's seat.
What this should tell HLE is, first of all, taking a fight against this FlyQuest comp is dangerous, right? Especially in an enclosed space like that, where they're able to land the multi-man Amumu ultimate combined with the multi-man Renata ultimate. And I think that HLE is going to be a little bit more hesitant to take the full 5v5, but ultimately with their comp, they don't need to. They can continue to play the sides, and they can look for picks similarly to what they've done, and this will force FlyQuest to spread out, where they're not as strong in the skirmishes, the 2v2s, the 3v3s, where Jax, Yone, Sejuani really thrive.
And that's where it's so hard for FlyQuest, right? Because as you say, they thrive so much in these 2v2s and 3v3s on HLE's side. So FlyQuest, they have to overload one side of the map, try to really force, and if they can't get that, well, you can't really send two that win this fight against Zeka and Peanut.
And unfortunately for FlyQuest, because they didn't really have, yes, they got the first dragon and they got the first few grubs, outside of that, they couldn't really control objectives, so they don't have any pressure or setup to force HLE to fight on their terms. So basically what FlyQuest is looking for now is Soul, 4 minutes away, Baron, 2.5 minutes. These are the objectives that FlyQuest need to find purchase on to stand a chance to turn this game around.
But that being said, honestly, I'm pretty happy with how FlyQuest have played. They are within striking distance in this game. Yes, it is going to be very difficult for them to win the next fight. Yes, HLE is positioned to do, you know, enough damage to potentially end this game in the next 5 minutes. But if FlyQuest are to win a fight at this next fight, Baron, at this next Dragon, it could be anyone's game because they've shown that they can win 5v5.
Let's take a look at some item power spikes as we are anticipating this next big fight. You can see Kaisa at the 3 fully completed items now. You've also got 3 full items completed for quads. Cassio, there's your Glacial Prison. Zeka wanted to jump in and follow it up, but Inspired chases him back to the Soul Unbound. TP's about to arrive from Bwipo. Zeka with a flash away, barely staying alive. Hostile takeover forces out a couple of flashes, but doesn't get a whole lot. Delight's now going to be put into the grinder. Fear Beyond Death finds him. Inspired, and the rest of FlyQuest chasing after Peanut now. Masu, spear after spear, and he's ready to go. It's 2 dead on HLE. FlyQuest with another big fight.
Masu with a beautiful cleanse there as well. On the ultimate from the Sejuani, instantly is able to cleanse out of that, sidestep the follow-up play, and they get the kills. They're pushing the tier 2. They're trying to defend the base on the other side, though, as Jax is pushing here into quad.
Crucially, we once
Viper
again...
with the killer instinct, he goes in after Masu. The bailout is not there in time. Viper with a 1v2 shows his fangs.
Wow, incredible play there from Viper. I was just about to highlight once again how FlyQuest team fighting is something that Hanwha Life have to respect. They tried to force a pick onto mid. It turns into a bigger fight than they were expecting. But in the individual skirmishes, if you can find those, Viper proves how Hanwha Life are able to find those opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, that is just huge for HLE. When you get a big play like that, you start to build some momentum, and then it's a bit of a backbreaker to have an outplay like that coming through from Viper. Finds the angle, gets in, is able to finish off Masu even through that bailout. And Masu quite behind now individually as far as the gold is concerned. We can watch this fight one more time, though. Look at that cleanse. That was instantaneous there from Masu. Is able to sidestep the ultimate as that follow-up from Zeka. Really well played. And it allows FlyQuest to just pile in here, go for that first initial kill there, on to Delight, get the Fear Beyond Death, and the Fear on a Peanut.
And then they turn it onto the Sejuani. Now, though, as we cut back to live.
Back to live, and Bwipo is in a 1v4. Sterix Gage to try to keep him alive. Inspire jumps in. Hostile takeover forces HLE back the other direction. Peanut now in some danger himself. Right back into the grinder.
Oh, he went through the portal. They're trying to flank them.
But now, Bwipo trying to juggle Viper back around the other direction. Viper's in a bad spot, trying to use the stasis to stay alive as Bwipo gives him the thumbs up. Bwipo stays alive. Inspire and Quad now looking for a little bit more. Back into Doran, who goes for the flash counter strike, but it ain't gonna work out so well. Doran dies to the petrifying gaze. It'll be Baron for FlyQuest.
Bwipo survives, they kill Peanut, they get Doran, they take down Viper, they lose no one, and they're gonna get the Baron as well.
Once again, Hanwha Life over-forced the play. They think that they can get a quick and easy pick onto Bwipo, but the play turns on its head. With the Baron secured, FlyQuest can reset and look to contest the Dragon.
And I really underestimated how tanky Bwipo actually is at this point. He has Jackshow and a Sterix.
Sterix is
He
it.
is very, very tanky. Goes with his thing. The E-shield is big. The Sterix barely keep him alive. And look at everyone coming in here. The Guardian shield from Busio. The ultimate, the bailout, everything is there. Viper tries to go for the hero play here. Has that plasma onto him. Goes in, but everyone from FlyQuest immediately turns. The flash forward from Busio, the flash forward from Masu. They all pile in to bail out their top laner.
Yeah, the shielding there was fantastic. Bwipo almost lost his life at the very end, but it was enough. The Dragon not stolen. Peanut.
Yeah, Peanut wanted to jump over the wall. He has no flash. Peanut trying to flex there, steal away, earn the soul, but instead it's just another death for HLE.
Things are quickly falling apart. FlyQuest need to remain calm, though. In a situation like this, you're poised to turn this game around, and you don't want to be overzealous. Recognize your strengths on the map. They're sending 5 members to the top side. I think they need to catch mid-wave. They need to control mid and top. Leverage this Baron to start threatening on Hanwha Life side of the map.
This feels like some disrespect from HLE. They win in these side fights, but they're throwing everybody into the same big battle. You saw 4 bodies piling in trying to take out Bwipo, but as soon as everybody's in the same spot on the map, FlyQuest sees a green light.
And really, teamfighting has been one of the big strengths of FlyQuest in the LCS. This is something where they're really playing towards the strengths of their composition. They're finding these opportunities that HLE is giving them, where they get a little bit cocky, where they go a little bit too far, and they're all instantly responding and looking to punish. And now FlyQuest on the push here, trying to get more done.
It's a 3-man push from FlyQuest, but you can see Doran on the other side of the map in the enemy jungle. Bwipo's going to be the one marking him right now. Quad joining up with the rest of the FlyQuest players up here in the top lane for the 4-man move. Both top laners not here. Both top laners with their teleports ready to go. Doran only level 17, Bwipo level 18. There's your Glacial Prison on Masu, who's got to try to get away now. Zeka looking for the follow-up, finds some good damage here on Busio, who's now down to half HP. HLE force FlyQuest back.
Yeah, and the poke there from Viper becoming pretty problematic. You can see Quad was kind of trying to clear out vision with Inspired on the side, but he gets tagged by Voidseer. He's getting a little bit low. And then Masu gets tagged, and he's getting sectioned off and getting a little bit low. FlyQuest have got to be careful about how they play this out, because you could still easily get pulled apart by HLE.
The problem for FlyQuest is they had Bwipo bot catching the wave being pushed in by Doran, and their stacking is 4 versus 4 in top lane. And even with the Baron, if it's a 4 versus 4 with a tower at your back, you have the tools to wave clear. We talked about how for both sides, they're relatively short-range compositions.
Exactly.
But it's a situation where, like, you can't, as Master, just walk underneath that tower against a Yone, Sejuani, Rel, right? So if you're just overstacking, you need to be playing through multiple lanes. But again, there is no tier 2 in mid lane. So they only have the tier 2 in top, the tier 2 in bot, and so their resources end up a little bit scattered. Ultimately, this Baron ends up becoming an equalizer, helping FlyQuest neutralize the game state and reset on the map. But now we're getting closer and closer to the respawn of the Hextech Soul, the 3rd Baron of the game. Bwipo needs to be careful.
Yeah, Bwipo's gonna get jumped on here yet again. That is their target. Hostile takeover comes in from Busio. Bwipo's still barely hanging on. Sterix finally gonna proc. There is the bailout, but it won't bail out a damn thing. FlyQuest gonna get caught in their own jungle. Masu's already almost dead, and Doran swoops in to guarantee it. HLE finally find the angle they're looking for, and FlyQuest are lambs to the slaughter. Viper's got a triple kill, and Quad's the last man standing. HLE beat him down into the dirt. It's a quadra kill for Viper, an ace for HLE, and a victory march down the mid lane. It was a lot closer than a lot of us were expecting, but the outcome stays the same. HLE, 33 minutes in, will barrel straight to the Nexus and a 1-0 lead.
As hope